Welcome to Breaking Bulletin, your go-to channel for the latest updates happening locally and internationally across the globe. Today, we're exploring a fascinating topic: how Jamaica, a vibrant Caribbean nation, could potentially become the 51st state of the United States. This idea might sound far-fetched, but it's worth examining the historical, economic, and political factors that could make it possible using real data and research available online. Please don't forget to like, share, and comment on this video to let us know your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. The concept of a 51st state isn't new. Territories like Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C., have long been discussed as potential additions to the U.S. Union. Jamaica, however, brings a unique angle as an independent nation with deep ties to the U.S., including trade, tourism, and a large diaspora community. According to the U.S. Department of State, the U.S. and Jamaica have maintained diplomatic relations since Jamaica's independence from the United Kingdom in 1962, built on trust and mutual interest. In this article, we'll break down the steps, challenges, and possibilities of this hypothetical scenario, so stick with us and engage in the conversation below. Imagine a world where Jamaica's reggae beats and sunny beaches are part of the American fabric. Could it happen? We'll look at the legal process for statehood, the economic incentives, and the public support needed, all while keeping things factual and balanced. The data we'll use comes from credible sources like the World Bank, the U.S. Census Bureau, and government reports, ensuring accuracy for you, our viewers. So, let's get started on this journey, and please hit that like button if you're excited to learn more. To understand how Jamaica could become a state, we first need to look at its historical relationship with the United States. Jamaica gained independence from the UK in 1962, but its proximity to the US, just 596 miles south of Miami, has fostered strong connections over the decades. The U.S. Department of State notes that these ties are rooted in people-to-people connections and a significant Jamaican-American community, with over 1.1 million people of Jamaican descent living in the U.S. according to the 2020 U.S. Census Bureau data. This shared history could serve as a foundation for closer integration. Trade has also played a massive role in linking the two nations. In 2023, trade between the U.S. and Jamaica exceeded $3 billion, with the U.S. being Jamaica's largest trading partner, as reported by the U.S. Trade Representative. Over 5,800 Jamaican products enter the U.S. tariff-free under the Caribbean Basin Initiative, a program designed to boost regional economies. These economic ties show how intertwined the two countries already are, making statehood a potential next step. Culturally, Jamaica's influence on the U.S. is undeniable, from reggae music to culinary traditions like jerk chicken. Meanwhile, American tourists flock to Jamaica, with over 3 million visiting in 2023 alone, according to Jamaica's Ministry of Tourism. This mutual exchange of culture and people could ease the transition if Jamaica were to pursue statehood, as familiarity already exists. The historical groundwork is there, so let's keep exploring. Don't forget to share this video with friends who love history. The diaspora also strengthens this bond, with Jamaican-Americans sending over $2 billion in remittances annually, per the World Bank's 2023 estimates. These funds are a lifeline for Jamaica's economy, especially during crises like the COVID-19 pandemic. Such financial interdependence highlights a relationship that's more than just neighborly, it's familial. Could this closeness evolve into statehood? We'll dive deeper, so stay tuned and leave your thoughts in the comments. Now, let's talk about how a country like Jamaica could legally become a U.S. state. It's a complex process rooted in the U.S. Constitution. Article 4, Section 3 of the Constitution allows Congress to admit new states, but it requires a clear path. A territory or entity must apply, gain congressional approval, and secure a presidential signature. Historically, this process has applied to U.S. territories like Hawaii, which became the 50th state in 1959, but Jamaica's status as a sovereign nation adds layers of complexity. The first step would be Jamaica willingly giving up its independence, a massive decision for any country. For comparison, Puerto Rico, a U.S. territory, has held multiple referendums on statehood, with 61% of voters favoring it in 2012, according to the Puerto Rico State Elections Commission. Jamaica would likely need a similar public vote to show its people's support, followed by negotiations with the U.S. government. Congress would then draft an Admissions Act, balancing factors like economic viability and national security, as it did for Alaska and Hawaii. This process ensures that both sides agree to the terms, making it a democratic endeavor. One hurdle is that Jamaica isn't currently a U.S. territory, unlike past statehood candidates. The U.S. would need to establish some form of temporary governance, perhaps making Jamaica a territory first before statehood could proceed, a step that could take years or decades. Legal scholars, like those at the Congressional Research Service, note that Congress has broad authority here, but international law would also come into play due to Jamaica's sovereignty. It's a long road, but not impossible, so let's keep unpacking this. Hit that share button if you're intrigued. Public support in both nations would be crucial, and we'll explore that later. For now, picture Jamaica's parliament voting to join the U.S., followed by U.S. lawmakers debating its admission in Washington, D.C. The process would demand cooperation, legal adjustments, and time, but it's a structured path laid out by history. What do you think about this legal maze? Let us know in the comments below. Economics could be a major driver or barrier to Jamaica becoming a U.S. state, so let's break it down with some hard numbers. Jamaica's economy grew by 2.6% in 2023, driven by tourism and mining, but it faces challenges like high debt and climate vulnerability. According to the World Bank, becoming a state could mean access to federal funding, infrastructure support, and a stronger U.S. dollar economy, potentially boosting growth. Imagine Jamaica's tourism sector thriving with even more American investment. That's a compelling upside. However, Jamaica's public debt, though reduced to 74.2% of GDP in 2023 to 24 from over 130% a decade ago per the World Bank, still limits its fiscal flexibility. As a state, it could tap into U.S. federal resources, like disaster relief funds critical after events like Hurricane Beryl in 2024, which caused $67 million in damages, as estimated by Jamaica's government. Yet, this comes with a catch. Jamaica would lose control over its monetary policy, currently managed by the Bank of Jamaica, and adopt the U.S. Federal Reserve System. That shift could stabilize prices, but might also limit local economic autonomy. Trade dynamics would also change significantly. The U.S. already imports over $1 billion in goods from Jamaica annually, including bauxite and agricultural products, per the U.S. Trade Representative. Statehood could streamline this further, eliminating trade barriers entirely, but it might also expose Jamaican businesses to fiercer competition from U.S. firms. It's a double-edged sword: growth potential versus the risk of being overshadowed. For Jamaicans, the poverty rate 12.3% in 2023, per World Bank estimates, could improve with access to U.S. social programs like Medicaid or federal job initiatives. Still, the transition wouldn't be instant, and economic disparities between Jamaica and wealthier U.S. states could spark debate. What do you think? Would the economic pros outweigh the cons? Like and comment to weigh in. Statehood isn't just about laws and money, it's about people, so let's explore what Jamaicans and Americans might think. There's no direct pull on Jamaica becoming a U.S. state, but we can draw insights from related data. A 2023 Caribbean Food Security Survey found that 33% of Jamaicans reported food insecurity, signaling economic struggles that might make U.S. statehood's promise of stability appealing to some. However, Jamaica's strong national identity, rooted in its independence and culture, could make many hesitant to join another nation. In the U.S., attitudes toward adding states vary widely. A 2021 YouGov poll showed 35% of Americans supported Puerto Rico's statehood, suggesting openness to expansion, but Jamaica's foreign status might shift opinions. The Jamaican diaspora in the U.S., concentrated in states like New York and Florida, could be a vocal advocate after all. They maintain strong ties to both places. Still, U.S. taxpayers might question the cost of integrating a new state with economic challenges. Jamaica's government has never officially proposed statehood, and its leaders often emphasize sovereignty. Prime Minister Andrew Holness, in a 2023 speech reported by the Jamaica Gleaner, highlighted Jamaica's resilience as an independent nation, suggesting pride in self-governance. A referendum would be essential to gauge true public sentiment, much like Puerto Rico's votes. Without it, we're speculating, but speculation is fun, right? Share your guess on how Jamaicans would vote. Across the U.S., political divides could complicate approval. Republicans and Democrats might split on whether Jamaica's addition benefits their agendas, as seen in debates over D.C. statehood. Public opinion would ultimately shape the outcome, so both nations' voices matter. What's your take? Would people embrace this idea? Hit that comment section and let's discuss. If Jamaica joined the U.S., its political landscape would transform dramatically, so let's examine that angle. Jamaica's 2.8 million people per 2023 World Bank data would gain to U.S. senators and likely for House representatives, based on population size compared to states like Hawaii or Vermont. This would give Jamaica a voice in Washington, influencing national policies on everything from climate change to trade. It's a big shift from its current parliamentary system under a constitutional monarchy. The U.S. Congress would also diversify, with Jamaican-American perspectives shaping debates. Jamaica's priorities like climate resilience, given its vulnerability to hurricanes, could push U.S. policy, especially since 2023 saw $117 million in World Bank projects supporting Jamaica's development. However, integrating Jamaica's government into the U.S. federal system would mean dissolving its monarchy ties to King Charles III, a symbolic and practical challenge. That's a lot to unpack. Imagine the debates in D.C. over this. For Jamaica, statehood could mean more resources to fight crime, a persistent issue with a homicide rate of 52.9 per 100,000 in 2022. Per the UN Office on Drugs and Crime, federal support via agencies like the FBI could bolster local efforts, though some might see it as a loss of autonomy. The political trade-off is real: influence in a superpower versus control at home. Globally, this move could ripple through the Caribbean, prompting questions about U.S. expansionism. Neighbors like the Bahamas might watch closely, but Jamaica's case would hinge on its unique ties. What do you think? Would Jamaica thrive as a state politically? Like and share if this sparks your curiosity. So, what concrete steps would Jamaica need to take to become the 51st state? First, it would require a national referendum, organized by Jamaica's Electoral Commission, to see if citizens support joining the U.S. This vote would need a clear majority, say over 60%, to signal strong intent, similar to thresholds in Puerto Rico's referendums. Next, Jamaica's parliament would draft a formal request to the U.S., outlining terms like economic aid or transition periods. It's a bold move that starts with the people's voice. Step 2 involves negotiations with the U.S. government, likely led by the State Department and Congress. They'd hash out details like Jamaica's debt, still $9 billion in 2023, per the IMF, and how federal taxes would apply. Both sides would need to agree on a timeline, perhaps 5 to 10 years, to shift Jamaica from sovereignty to statehood, including a phase as a territory. This dialogue would be critical to align interests. Third, Jamaica would need to align its laws with U.S. standards, from education to healthcare. The World Bank notes Jamaica's secondary education access is improving, but federal standards might demand more investment, think billions in U.S. funding. This legal overhaul would be gradual, ensuring a smooth transition for citizens. Picture Jamaican schools adopting U.S. curriculums. That's a big change. Finally, Congress would vote on an Admissions Act, and the president would sign it into law. Jamaica would then elect its federal representatives, joining the union officially. It's a multi-year process requiring patience and consensus. What step do you think is toughest? Comment below and let's keep this conversation going. Of course, this journey wouldn't be easy. Let's look at the challenges Jamaica would face. Sovereignty is a huge sticking point. Jamaica's 62 years of independence as of 2024 have built a proud national identity, per its Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Giving that up for statehood could spark resistance, especially among older generations who fought for freedom from colonial rule. A 2023 Jamaica Observer article noted strong public attachment to independence. Could that shift? Economically, the transition could strain both sides. Jamaica's GDP was $17 billion in 2023 World Bank, tiny compared to California's $3.6 trillion, meaning U.S. taxpayers might foot a hefty bill to integrate it. Currency changes from the Jamaican dollar to the U.S. dollar could disrupt local markets, as seen in past dollarization cases like Ecuador, per IMF studies. It's a risk that needs careful management. Politically, U.S. approval isn't guaranteed. Congress might balk at adding a state with high crime rates or economic needs. The partisan split could stall progress, as it has with D.C. statehood debates, where only 46% of Republicans supported it in a 2021 Gallup poll. Jamaica's case might face similar pushback, delaying or derailing the process. Culturally, blending Jamaica's laid-back vibe with America's fast-paced system could clash. Think of Rastafarian traditions meeting U.S. regulations. Would they coexist smoothly? These obstacles are real, but not insurmountable. What's the biggest hurdle in your view? Share this video and let's debate it. Despite the challenges, statehood could bring benefits worth considering, so let's highlight a few. For Jamaica, joining the U.S. could mean billions in federal investment. Think upgraded roads, schools, and hospitals, areas where the World Bank says Jamaica needs $550 million over the next 4 years. Access to U.S. markets without trade barriers could also boost its $1.5 billion tourism industry. 2023 data from Jamaica's Tourism Board. Plus, federal disaster relief could mitigate losses from storms, a growing threat with climate change. For the U.S., Jamaica offers strategic value. Its location in the Caribbean could enhance national security, per a 2023 U.S. Southern Command report on regional stability. The U.S. could expand its military presence, countering influence from powers like China, which invested $700 million in Jamaica's infrastructure in 2022 per Reuters. Economically, Jamaica's bauxite reserves 7% of global supply, per the USGS could fuel U.S. industries. Culturally, the U.S. would gain a vibrant addition, enriching its diversity with Jamaica's music, food, and heritage. The diasporas to $1 billion in remittances could shift to direct economic contributions as tax-paying citizens. It's a win-win potential, but it hinges on execution. Both nations could deepen their partnership, already strong through initiatives like the Caribbean Basin Security Initiative, which provided $100 million in 2023 U.S. State Department. Statehood could amplify this collaboration. What benefit excites you most? Like this video and tell us below. If Jamaica became the 51st state, the world would take notice. Let's explore those reactions. Caribbean neighbors like Trinidad and Tobago might worry about U.S. dominance, given their own trade ties with Jamaica, worth $300 million annually per CARICOM data. They could see it as a precedent, prompting debates about sovereignty across the region. The UK, Jamaica's former colonial power, might raise an eyebrow but has no legal say per international law. Globally, powers like China and Russia might criticize it as U.S. expansionism, especially since China's Belt and Road projects in Jamaica total over $1 billion per the Council on Foreign Relations. They'd likely frame it as a power grab, though the U.S. could counter it's a mutual choice. The UN might host discussions, but statehood between consenting nations is an internal matter per the UN Charter. For the Caribbean, Jamaica's move could shift regional dynamics. Its 14% share of CARICOM's GDP 2023 estimate would exit that bloc, reshaping trade. Smaller nations might seek closer U.S. ties in response, or double down on independence. It's a geopolitical domino effect worth watching. The world stage would buzz with opinions, from support to skepticism, reflecting broader tensions about U.S. influence. How do you think global leaders would react? Share this video and let's get your take in the comments. We've covered a lot today on Breaking Bulletin. Thanks for sticking with us on this deep dive into how Jamaica could become the 51st U.S. state. From historical ties and legal steps to economic pros and cons, public opinion, and global reactions, it's clear this is a complex but fascinating possibility. The data from the World Bank, U.S. Census, and more shows both the potential and the hurdles, making it a balanced discussion for you, our viewers. Please like, share, and comment to keep this conversation alive. We want to hear your perspective. Jamaica's path to statehood would require referendums, negotiations, and congressional approval, all while navigating economic shifts and cultural identity. The benefits like federal funding and security could be huge, but challenges like sovereignty and cost loom large. It's a hypothetical that sparks imagination and debate, grounded in real stats and history. What's your final take? Could it happen? As always, Breaking Bulletin is here to bring you the latest updates with facts you can trust, so subscribe if you haven't already. This topic shows how interconnected our world is and how bold ideas can reshape it. Let's keep exploring together. Hit that share button and tell us, should Jamaica join the U.S.? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Remember to give your comment, like, share, and subscribe.